Hello and welcome to the Silver Lining, the weekly geekly talk show where we discuss any number of topics that may have come up during the week. I'm your host, Uncle Silver, aka Silver Greg, aka Greg, whatever you feel like calling me, and whenever my mic decides to stop moving. Hello and welcome, my co-host to chat. Always a fantastic time having you here while I'm having microphone arm difficulties. I love this arm, but it is like you do admittedly have to like wrench down on it in order to get it to stop, and even then it's kind of like ooh, ooh, ooh. Hopefully I'm not too far or too close away because I'm trying my best to not move it. Fox, howdy uncle. I picked up Indivisible today. Oh my god, it's so good. Jeffersonia, what's going on? How have you all been? Hopefully everybody has been doing okay. If you don't mind here, I'm gonna take a sip of my beverage here. Yeah, hopefully everybody's been doing all right. Had a good day. Okay. Oh wait, I gotta mix it up a little bit. This is like coffee from this one. Okay, so I have these. I have a couple of these. I have the one bottle that is not here right now that has like the boo sticker on it. And then I have this one, which is, it's funny because this was actually left at my job like 2 weeks ago and nobody picked it up, so I cleaned it out and I have commandeered it for myself. These are these thermal like containers. Again, I don't really know if you say thermos, but they're like these super insulated containers, right? So I have one, and last week I had coffee, so I made the coffee and I filled up the container, and then I forgot about it. I left it in my car. I went out and then I meant to bring it with me and I completely forgot about it. So it was there for a day. Like I didn't get it until the next day. I went out and got it, and my coffee was still hot. This is from this morning. I just opened it up and steam rose out of it. So my coffee is very hot in this container. These things are amazing. If you get a chance, they make the cups too. They make these big cups. I have one of them. The problem with the cups is that the lid is like plastic, so heat or cold, because they work on both, it escapes. So eventually hot stuff gets cool and cool stuff gets hot faster, or it gets warm, I should say. But with the sealed ones like this, there's steam. I wish you could see it. There's like steam. Let me see if I can get that. I doubt it's gonna show up on camera, but there's steam coming. It's hot coffee. I was like afraid to drink it. Nice new suave hairstyle. Not new. You have to excuse me. For some reason, I have a little bit of a cough today. Bert, Sir Piggy, John Pancho, Prez, Aqua. What is happening? I use one of those every day at work. There, ice cold forever. The cup. I have no. It was the other bottle that I have. I had like iced tea with ice in there, on a summer day, and it was the 95 degrees, and it was in the car. So of course, in the car it's like 110. I had it there in the morning, and at night there was still ice in the container. Like most of the ice was still in the container, which is just amazing. I know it sounds like a weird sort of advertisement. We're not getting any money from insulated container conglomerates, but pick one of these up, especially the sealed ones, and you will love it. They're fantastic. Hey Greg, chat, doing all right. Currently experiencing Pokemon Sword, and I already own 6 Pokemon. You don't own 6 Pokemon. Owning them is cruel. They are your companions. We're doing slow mode. Yeah, I guess for today it's always better to do slow mode. My mom actually has one. Don't they sell them everywhere? Everywhere has these insulated containers. Yeah, no spoilers about Pokemon, which is pretty common. I don't know how many spoilers you could have at this point, since a lot of people only got it, within the last few hours. Maybe they got it early. A lot of people have school and work, so most people, I think, that were really excited to get it today are probably only a few hours into it. What is it so I can find one? Oh, it's like an insulated, like a thermally insulated container. They make them in different sizes, different companies. Yeti makes one. I think Yeti's a popular brand, but definitely check them out. They're worth it. But yeah, Lizard, what's going on? Hopefully everybody's had a good week. Hopefully your week has been better than my week. My week was kind of a disaster. I went over to record some stuff on SGB, and I had to leave before I could do it because I got there and I was there for a little while, and then I got a phone call saying that my basement was taking in very disgusting water. So I came home and I looked at it, and sure enough, there was some sort of backup in our line. So we contacted the plumber. I missed like sort of like 2 days of work this week because I had to stay home and wait for the plumber, and then that is like they fixed everything. They had to dig up outside. They had to dig up into the street, and they fixed everything. But it's, ugh, and that is on top of everything else that's going on. And then tomorrow, I talked yesterday about tomorrow I have to take my car in for inspection, which is a very, very high anxiety point for me because I spent all this week, and I'm going to spend all of tomorrow waiting for the phone call where they tell me I need a whole new transmission or something, and who knows what that's going to do. Cars for me are always a very high anxiety issue, whether it's traffic or whether it's just I'm just always worried that something's going to go on. Whenever I take it for an oil change, I'm waiting for them to tell me that, oh, well, while we were doing the oil change, it turns out you need 4 new tires. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always just sort of terrified of that. Was it I Prefer Freedom Challenge? Australian version that released today. Pokemon. I'm not having a good day. Just found out the creator of the Yamato and Harlock series. Oh man, that stinks. Who is that? Who is the creator of those series? Game looks amazing. Honestly, I'm liking it more than I did Let's Go. Okay, so obviously I haven't played Sword and Shield. Let's Go. Hey Ryan. Let's Go, I don't think was ever supposed to be a serious Pokemon game, and I think that's one issue that that people when they announced Pokemon Let's Go and people were all up in arms, like, oh my god, this is ridiculous, this is the next Pokemon game in the series, this is crazy. I remember thinking, and I actually argued it. I think I argued here. I don't think this is like the next mainline Pokemon game. This is just a remake of one with like Let's Go attached to it. Or Pokemon Go attached to it. This is not the serious game. So I don't, the idea of like, oh, it's better than Let's Go. It's kind of different than Let's Go. Like, Let's Go was never supposed to be the hardcore game. That's like saying, oh, well, Pokemon Black and White, wow, it's better than those Explorers games. Like, the Explorers games, they're side games. They were never supposed to be there to challenge the mainline Pokemon games. So it's always weird to argue that. I defend Let's Go because I think Let's Go is fantastic for exactly what it is, which is a Pokemon Go-ified Gen 1, and that's really all that it is. It's Pokemon Go, but you don't go. It's Pokemon Stay. Got Order of Ecclesia, Dragon Ball Z, Attack of the Saiyans, and River City Girls. Ooh, a couple weeks ago. River City Girls would be nice. I've been very interested in that. Are you okay? But what's going on, everybody? Yeah, hey, Ryan. I think Gen 7 has a lot of good about it. Also a few sour spots. Hey, Neon Mole. Let's Go is mainstream Pokemon for people who've never played Pokemon before. But it's a previous game. That's the thing. When Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby were released, nobody thought they were the next in the mainline series of Pokemon games because they weren't. They were remakes of old games. Pokemon Let's Go is a remake of an old game. It's got a lot of new mechanics to it, and it's a bit simplified. But it's a remake of an old game. That's all that it is. And I don't hold anything against that, because if you're going to hold something against Let's Go for being a remake, then you would also hate Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby. You know, you would also hate Fire Red and Leaf Green. You know, those games were just remakes of older versions of the games. But it also panders. I don't know that it panders to the Gen 1 crowd. I think it just is a Gen 1 remake. I mean, I think Pokemon Go pandered to the Gen 1 crowd by only having Gen 1 Pokemon first. You know, they were going to have more of them. You know, and I'm a Gen 1er, so, and that's me saying that. Excuse me. Problem is, not to jump ahead, Sword and Shield also feel like a testing ground. I hear a lot about that so far. Let's Go is a remake of Yellow Gen 1 with Go mechanics to cash in on that crowd and get kids who never played a mainline game back into the series. See, yeah, I guess it was aimed at kids. I don't know. I feel like Pokemon Let's Go wasn't aimed at kids. I feel like, if anything, yes, it was probably aimed at people, at the Gen 1ers. It might have been, it feels like it could have been aimed at the Gen 1ers in a sense. But with the new mechanics, I don't know. I feel like they wanted to try Let's Go to integrate some of the Go mechanics and have Let's Go feel a little bit different. And I don't mind that. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it. I think that's my whole takeaway from that, is that I didn't have a problem with it the way everybody had a problem with it, just because it was like fundamentally it was different. And I don't know. I don't harp on that as much anymore, you know, because if it's fundamentally different but it's clearly a side game, that's what side games are for. They're supposed to be different. You know, we would never have argued, you know, for anybody that loves Final Fantasy, you know, stuff like Final Fantasy Tactics and all, I'm never going to sit there and argue, well, these aren't like the original games. These aren't like the mainline series of Final Fantasy games. No, of course not. They're side games. That's the whole point. Yeah, it's you know, Pokemon is you want to discuss it or you don't want to discuss it, but you know, it's there. It's one of those things that whether or not, it's like Fortnite, whether or not you want to talk about it, whether or not you're annoyed about hearing about it, it's there, and it's gonna get discussed. That marketing was very much show your kids what you played as a child. It was criticized as much as it was because it's the first real HD. Yeah, I guess that's where the criticism came from, was like, this was our first experience, and that's what I'm hearing. We'll get into Sword and Shield, but that's what I'm hearing about Sword and Shield, is that a lot of people find it to be lackluster, considering that this is the first modern console Pokemon game, and people are finding it lackluster for that. Haven't touched Pokemon since 1999. Swish is good, but the problem is it's sort of madness. Yeah, Pokemon is there, not great, not awful, just there. Yeah, and a lot of people think that is a negative.
Your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.
Wing0123, thank you so much for the follow. It's a very by the numbers, nothing of particular interest Pokemon game. And for the first console game, that's woefully... Yeah, and Ryan, that's exactly the point. Like, a lot of people are saying it's a fine game, but as a representative of the first in the new gen of games like that, it should have a lot more, is what people are saying. I haven't played it, so I can't say one way or the other, but I watched streams of it earlier today. I watched a few review videos. I watched Game Explain did a long discussion video, a non-spoiler discussion video, along with Ted, and I'm sorry, I forget the other person that was part of the conversation. And I listened to them talk about it, and yeah, everything they said sounded like it's a decent enough game, but not very representative of what a new generation of Pokemon games should be. Wasn't Coliseum? No. Well, Lizard, it might have been the first console experience, but it was not a mainline game. It was not the baseline version of that series. You know, there has not been a console version of the main series of games. A lot of people love the game to the point they consider it to be the best Pokemon game so far. Consider it better than Sun and Moon. What? Wait, no. Where's my Stadium? Yeah, but again, even still, it's still the same issue that is not the main kind of game that you know, they were not RPGs. You know, they were not brand new 100 new Pokemon and you go and collect them all. Like, it was not anything like that. One of the best in the franchise. Where's my 4K 120 FPS Pokemon game in it? Okay, I don't need 4K 120 FPS. What I need is just an open world Pokemon game. I don't understand. I think the entire series is predicated on the idea of existing in an open world, whether or not we've ever had an open world game. So how is that not the direction you're moving in? How are you not moving towards a subscription based? I'm sorry, I know I hurt a lot of people's feelings when I said that, but how are you not moving towards an open world subscription based Pokemon experience? I don't understand that. It doesn't make any sense to me. That with 1,000 Pokemon now, or what is it, 900 now? That really should be the most logical next step. Stadium was more of an add-on. Yeah. Jedi Fallen Order is out. And you know, if you buy Jedi Fallen Order through the Epic Store, you get free Stormtrooper outfit for your Fortnite character. Prez, it sounds crazy, but World of Warcraft Pokemon Edition. I don't understand why that's not, like, obvious. Just let Monolith Soft develop the overworld. I don't trust EA. Nobody does. EA doesn't trust EA. I imagine like EA employees walk into work and they look at each other like, morning. It's sort of like Final Fantasy, where Final Fantasy 14 I think the weirdest thing about Final Fantasy 14 is that it's called 14, so it's considered part of the main numbered series, but it has become this thing where it has taken on a life of its own as a open world game, as an MMO. So, you know, and that's the thing. No one hates it for that. No one hates Final Fantasy 14 for being an open world MMO. And like, oh, well, that's not the way those games are supposed to be played. You're right. That's not the way those games are typically played. That's why it's something different. As you mentioned, look, I mentioned 14, and Final Fantasy 14 players are like, what? 11. Okay, so 11 was an MMO. Final Fantasy 11 was also supposed to be an MMO. The problem is that it was an MMO through PS2's internet. I don't remember if there was a PC version of it. This is at a time when it was not very poor. It was not very well done, and it was not very accessible. You know, the idea of going on with your PS2 online was not a very accessible thing to do. So the whole concept of it wasn't time yet. It just wasn't time yet for that sort of thing. You know, World of Warcraft was, because we had like EverQuest. There was stuff before. There was stuff like EverQuest, like EVE Online, and they if I remember right, they all predate World of Warcraft, but they were still very niche. They were still very much like, okay, you kind of have to be in the know to play these games. World of Warcraft was one of the first ones to really break through that, and people who had I had never played Warcraft 1, 2, and 3. Orcs and Humans, and I think Warcraft 2 was just 2, and then stuff like 3, Frozen Throne, and all of that. I never played any of that. World of Warcraft was my only experience with that series. Mostly because I was not an RTS fan. I don't really like RTS games. Wasn't one of the mainline Dragon Quest games. I think so. I think I remember of 9 or 10 was like supposed to be an online experience for Dragon Quest. Blizzard. No, it doesn't have to be Blizzard. Blizzard is not the only people out there. They're not the only people out there making successful MMOs. Hey, Minion. Just got out of last night contribute, especially this week. I want to contribute. I had Warcraft 2. The celebrity. You mean like Prez? You mean like Mr. T, where they added the Mr. T stuff into Warcraft? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, 10. Dragon Quest 10 was the online one. Yeah, they added Mr. T grenades or something. It was I want to say it was ridiculous, but you know that's marketing. Ozzy was in there for a little while. It was great. You know, I played 4 years of it. It was good. It was good fun. $15 a month. I can't do that anymore. Chuck Norris. Yeah, I think there was a Chuck Norris one.